You are listening to the Million Dollar Coach Business Podcast with Amanda Karlstad, episode number 263. Welcome to the Million Dollar Coach Business Podcast, a show for coaches who are ready to up-level their business and take their impact, leadership, and results to $1 million level and beyond. If you're ready to break through your limitations and start taking powerful action and become the seven-figure version of you that your business needs in order to grow, scale, and thrive, this show is for you. I'm your host, Amanda Karlstad, master coach, high-level business mentor and advisor, master intuitive, and business growth and scaling expert. Let's get down to business. Hello and welcome, everyone. So good to have you here. I hope you're all doing well, wherever you are in the world. I'm excited to talk to you all today. We have officially moved into the fourth quarter of this year. And I have to tell you, this is a time of year that I love, where every year I have a practice of really reviewing the year so far, where I celebrate successes, where I am looking at the lessons that I have learned so far in the year, where we're also celebrating so many client successes. So many of them are crushing it in so many different ways and having their biggest revenue months ever. We have clients that are hitting $150,000 cash months in their business. We have clients that are experiencing the highest conversion rates they've ever experienced to the tune of 20+%. We have clients who we are building custom marketing and sales plans for them to implement into this last quarter of the year that are really designed to generate $250,000, $300,000, depending on the business, in new revenue. And we have clients who are stepping into running paid traffic for the first time. And so we're just seeing so many great results in just a short amount of time, and so much growth, not only in the business, but also for all of these business owners. And we have clients that are launching new programs, who are establishing their thought leadership on a whole new level. So the wins that are happening are really amazing. And I have to tell you all that this is very normal. This is really baseline for the work that we do, for the powerful work that does happen inside of my mastermind containers. And I would highly encourage you that if you know that you are ready to take things to the next level, if you're truly ready to step into the next level of yourself, into your own thought leadership, now is the time to put yourself in this environment where you have the level of support that you need, where you will have real business expertise on your business, where just by nature of being in the mastermind container, where you will be challenged, where you will step into your next level in so many different ways. The work that we do is real work. It is real business strategy that we're going to talk about here today. This isn't about letting excuses stay in the way. This is the real deal. And it's also the real work that if you are serious about growing your business to that high 6-7-figure level, beyond that level, this is what my masterminds are designed for. So my friends, now is the time, because what you will do right now, everything that you're doing right now here in quarter 4 of 2024 will determine your outcomes. It will influence the success you either experience or do not experience in 2025. Business goes in cycles. And one of the things that I think is really important to understand is that typically the results that you experience in your business, those results are very often the byproduct of what you did or maybe didn't do 6 months ago. So if you look at your results that you have right now in your business, chances are that is the effect of what you did 6 months ago. And so this is really, really important. And I would encourage you that if you're truly ready to become the leader that your business is requiring you to be, I want to invite you to join us inside of the mastermind. If you are working to that 6-figure mark in your business and you've created some success, that might look like you're successfully coaching clients. That might be on a one-on-one basis. You might have even launched a group at this point or any other type of leveraged program. But if you've successfully sold your program and if you've made 10K, 25K in your business, I will tell you the work in the mastermind will be exactly what you need to take things to the next level. And if you're already at the multiple six-figure mark, high six-figure mark, and you're ready to go to that next level, for some of you, that might be 500,000, that might be 750,000, that might be $1 million and beyond, then my friends, I want to invite you to join us inside of the $1 Million Mastermind. This is exactly what we do. This is where coaches become $1 million coaches. These containers are truly transformational not only for your business, but also for you. So we're going to link up the application in the show notes. I would highly, highly recommend that you apply if you are serious about taking things to the next level and doing the work to create that. All right. So on that note, I want to talk to you all about the importance now more than ever of your strategy as we move into this final quarter of the year and as we move into early 2025. So in this podcast, I talk a lot about the inner work that is required in business. A lot of my content, a lot of the conversation that I'm bringing to you in this podcast is really all about the inner game. It's focused on who you need to become as you grow and scale your business. And the reason for that is because that is the most important aspect on a macro level to your success. It's going to be who you are being. And the truth of this is that you could be given the best, the most streamlined strategy that exists. It could be the perfect strategy for your business. But if you don't have the mindset, if you aren't approaching that strategy with a winning mindset, with a mindset that will help you execute that strategy, that will help you implement that strategy and help you run with that strategy, the strategy in and of itself is going to do you no good. Because when you have that solid foundation, when you are doing that inner work, where you are willing to shed old belief systems, where you're willing to, quite frankly, get out of your own way, that is when when you can really start to run with it. So I want to make it clear here that I'm not saying that strategy is the most important aspect, but what I am saying that there's also an element here that you do have to have a real strategy. You have to have a strategy that is capable of being able to hold the growth of the business that you truly desire. Because if you don't have that, you will have a problem. And unfortunately, what I see in our industry is that most coaches actually don't have a real strategy, or the strategies that they might be trying to implement in their business actually don't have the capacity, no matter how strong the coach's mindset might be, no matter what level of expertise as a coach you might have, no matter how great of a coach you might be. If the strategy that you're focused on, the strategy that you're working to implement is flawed and doesn't have the capacity to actually hold the growth that you truly want, if you don't truly understand the nuances that exist with all of the different strategies out there, you're going to run into a lot of roadblocks. So your strategy as a coach does really matter. And the good news is that when it comes to strategy, this is something that comes extremely easy to me, that it's really how I'm wired. In fact, strategy within my human design is one of my greatest strengths. And so it is something that comes very easily to me. It's something that I am very good at and very confident in. And it's also why I can see immediately with every client that I work with, the exact pathway for them, specific to them, that is right there for them to hit that 7-figure level and beyond. And so this is really powerful because the truth is as a business owner, you can only see from your own lens. You can only see from your vantage point. And it isn't until we can see it through a different perspective, through a different viewpoint, where we can really see those expanded visions. And so that is something that I know to be really, really powerful in the work that I do, is being able to really see that for clients and really hold that for clients as they do the work of really building that out into their businesses. So I share this with you because when it comes to strategy, this is a big part of my work with clients. It's a big part of the work that we do with our clients on a daily basis. And it's also why our clients are able to make such quantum leaps in such a short amount of time. And it's because they have and they are operating from real strategies, from strategies that can actually hold, that have the capacity to power their business growth to the level that they desire. And so these are proven strategies that have built some of the biggest coaching businesses, for example, in the coaching space. And, I think it's important to mention here that when you look at some of the biggest coaches in our space, it's very clear to me what those strategies are, right? It's very clear that everything is actually very strategic. And so I've had the unique advantage in my career over the years to have a behind the scenes seat to a lot of these businesses, along with my startup, with my scaling expertise that I've brought into my own practice. And so I share that because a lot of the coaches that you see that have generated and have grown really, really big businesses in our space, it's because they have very high level strategies that are working on the backside of their business, even when you can't see that from the outside, even when they might not overtly talk about them. In fact, most of everything that you see on, for instance, social media, most of everything you see when you are looking at a business from the outside is not going to be obvious in the strategy. But when you know the inner workings of these things, you can see how highly, highly strategic it actually is. So I just share that because it's very important to understand that while, yes, the inner work, the inner game is going to determine the level of success that you experience, hands down, you also do have to have a very solid strategy if you actually want a chance at growing your business to the level that you want. So I'm bringing this to all of you right now in this time. I feel like this is a really timely conversation because as you are thinking about likely this year and where you're at so far in the year and reflecting on 2024 and the results that you've created, or maybe it's the results that you didn't create but wanted to create, I want you to really question, what was your strategy this year? Did I even have a clear strategy? And if not, that's a huge, huge opportunity that you have. Because right now, to fill that gap, and in fact, I believe that it's going to be even more necessary moving forward, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. But if you don't have a plan, it's also not likely that you should expect a significant level of growth in your business. One of the things that I see steal more and more coaches' dreams of actually building the business they want and creating the level of revenue that they want is a lack of strategy, or with a strategy that there are gaps, there are real issues with how that strategy has been implemented. And many times it's just a lack of understanding. It's lacking nuance of the strategy or understanding the actual math of the strategy, or having, for example, impatience with a certain strategy, not sticking with a strategy long enough to actually allow it to work. So there's a whole host of things that from an inner game side of things can actually make that strategy appear that it doesn't work, even though it might actually be working. And so this is something that I see over and over and over again. And the danger with this is what happens is when that does happen, it will lead to all sorts of narratives. And ultimately, it really is easy, and I see this a lot, where a coach will fall into just an overall bad attitude overall towards the strategy and say things like, oh, this doesn't work for my business, or that strategy doesn't work, so on and so forth. So this is really important to understand, and it's critical for all of you listening. I will say another challenge that I know all of you are facing, because it's a challenge in our industry, is that there are also so many different types of strategies. There are so many different opinions on how to grow your business. So I know that many of you are confused and are not sure what your next step should be or how to actually go about the strategy in your business. And so this is what we're really going to dive into, because here's the thing. As I mentioned, now more than ever, we are living in a world where you need to be really real about the fact that you are competing for attention. You are competing for your audience's attention. In fact, if you just think about on a daily basis, the volume of information that is coming at you, the volume of content that you have at your fingertips on social media, in your email inbox, in the news, whatever combination that might look like for you, the truth is that as a species, as humans, our attention spans are at an all-time low. And that is a very real component here, which also means that your clients, the potential clients that you're also speaking to, it means their attention spans are also at an all-time low. So why does this matter? This matters because now more than ever, because these attention spans, our attention spans as humans are at an all-time low, because you are competing with everything that is currently going on in our world, because you're competing with things like the news feed and everything that is showing up there, it is so important that when you do have the opportunity to be in front of your ideal client, when you do have that split second of their attention, it's vital that you are catching it and that you hold onto it and that you provide value to them so that their attention can be directed to what it is that you want to direct their attention to. So I want to share with you some really powerful strategies that I see working right now in 2024 and moving into 2025. And so these are all strategies that we support our clients with. These are all strategies that I believe every coach should be considering, should be working to implement in their business. And they're strategies that will provide a foundation for true growth and scale. So let's shift into some of these actual tangible strategies now that I've explained and kind of teed up this conversation about why strategy is so important. So the first element to any strategy actually quote unquote working in your business is that you have to have an offer, aka program, that provides a tangible result. And so one of the important distinctions that I want you to understand is that within your offer, there are what I call direct offers, and there's also what I would call indirect offers. And a direct offer is a very clear result. It's a very clear outcome that when you state your offer, it is very clear, it is crystal clear, in fact, for anyone that sees or hears this offer to truly understand what your offer is about and what that actual result is that you will provide, that you will help facilitate for them. So let me give you some examples of this. So let's say that you are in the weight loss niche. Let's say that you are a weight loss coach or in the health space, okay? A direct offer would sound like, I help women over 40 lose 10 pounds or more through insert your process here, okay? And I'm just thinking through different clients we've worked with. This might be through a combination of balancing hormones. It might be through regulating metabolism, diet, exercise, whatever your particular approach is that will solve that for your clients and will help your clients achieve that result. That's the mechanism that you use to facilitate, to help your clients achieve and get to that desired end result, okay? So you can see here in this example that anybody reading this statement or anybody hearing you say this would automatically know, they would understand immediately what that very clear result would be for that offer, of that program, of the way that you work with clients, what that desired end result would be. And this would be the case even if they weren't your ideal client, even if they didn't identify as a female over the age of 40 and had a desire to lose weight, even if they weren't in your target market. Okay, so that is a very clear direct offer. Now let's talk about indirect offers. An indirect offer is typically less tangible. It typically doesn't speak as directly to a clear result. But they can also be very effective. That doesn't mean that they can't work. They can also be very effective depending on your audience, depending on the work that you do. As long as your ideal clients are actually desiring the result that you're stating. So let me give you an example of this. An example of this might be increasing your intimacy in your marriage through your proven XYZ process. Okay. So I want you to think about the two examples that I gave here, right? Example one was very clear. Hey, I'm going to help you lose, women over 40, 10 pounds or more through my proven formula, right? Through my proven method, right? Example two is, hey, I'm going to help you increase your intimacy in your marriage, right? It's a little bit more indirect. We're not as direct. We're not saying, I am going to help you, increase your intimacy by XYZ% in your marriage, although that could be a direct offer. That could be an example of that, right? Now, you would have to kind of think through how to state that, but that would be a way to make that a little bit more direct. But you can see even increasing your intimacy in your marriage through your proven process and doing the education around that can also be a very effective message, okay? In both scenarios, you can see though that we're providing results. So this is really important to understand. Now, here's the thing. No matter if right now your offer is more direct or indirect, is going to determine how you would market these two offers. And no matter what, you must still make sure that either way, the result that you are helping your clients achieve, the result that you are selling, is actually what your most ideal clients want. So I want to preface all of these tangible strategies that I'm going to get to in this conversation around the fact that unless you are actually clear on the result that you provide and that result is, in fact, what your clients actually want, again, you could have the best, most streamlined, most effective strategy out there. You could be implementing the strategy flawlessly. You could even have somebody come in and implement this for you perfectly. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to sell a program, a result, an opt-in, whatever that is, to an audience, to the clients that they don't actually want what it is that you're offering, that they don't actually desire or care enough about, it's going to fall flat. So I can't overemphasize how important it is to ensure that you have an offer that is what your clients want, that speaks directly to the result, to that which your most ideal clients want. So the first thing that I would say strategically, especially now in the moment of time that we're in, people need to see immediately the value, the result that you help to provide. And it has to be a match to their actual desires. So please don't underestimate this. All right. So once you have that great offer, once you've nailed that result that your most ideal clients want, then you have to be serious about getting this offer in front of them. And far too many coaches, from what I observe day in and day out, are quite frankly getting this wrong. And part of the reason I think this happens is because, as I mentioned earlier, there are so many options out there. There are so many ways and so many opinions on how to go about marketing and selling. There's a lot of shiny objects out there, my friends. And I see many of you getting caught up in things that, quite frankly, will not get you to where you want to go. And they don't match the stage of business that you're currently in. So for those of you that have already achieved a good level of success, where you have figured out client acquisition, where you have hit a place where you've figured out how to enroll clients with some level of consistency, maybe it's not at the level that you'd like, but nonetheless, you're in a place where you really have figured that part out. This is really where I will say layering in a lot of the higher level strategies, the work that we do with clients, is very, very powerful. Because when we can take that initial foundation that you have and start to layer in and execute some of these higher, more advanced strategies, this is where we can really start to move the needle. So here's the thing. I want to really talk to you all about what some of these things are, because I think it's very important to understand, even if you're in the earlier stages of your business, the importance of really working on these things and be working towards implementing these things as it makes sense in your own business. So this might be a webinar, for example. This might be a workshop. This might be a masterclass. It might be a paid workshop. It might be a VSL. It might be an audio series. Really, the core of a $1 million strategy for a coaching business is going to have some form of what I call a conversion event. And that is going to be delivered consistently to your audience. And I gave you several examples of what that could look like. But at the end of the day, it's going to be some presentation of some sort. It's going to be a highly effective, well thought out, very intentional presentation that you're delivering. And you would typically deliver that live at first. And then once you've refined things, once you've delivered it several times, once you start to bring more people into that, you start to convert people from that conversion event, this is where I will always recommend, where it makes sense, and this is where the custom advisory really plays a role, that we move to evergreen, where your ideal clients can then access this conversion event on demand. And there's different ways to set this up, but essentially the holy grail here is you want to get to a point where you have these systems in place so that your clients can access them on demand. And along with that, you want to also be thinking about layering on some other strategies. So one of the most powerful strategies, as an example, that we have taught, that we help our clients implement, that we help our clients with each and every day, is once that foundation is there, to then layer on, for example, live events in a very strategic way. It might be a live webinar. It might be a live workshop. It might be a live masterclass. It could be a retreat. There's a lot of different ways that this can look. But what that does is it essentially also helps to engage people in the audience who need a little bit of that extra nudge, who are there, who are interested, who are consuming your content, who want to solve the problem, who want relief from all of the suffering that they're experiencing, but they probably need that extra nudge. And so again, these are more advanced strategies and strategies that typically we are working with our clients on inside of the $1 Million Mastermind, but they are the most powerful and effective ways to create consistency and to create stability in your business. And this is very, very important, especially as you hit that growth and scale phase. So I want to talk to you all next about client acquisition. And this is something that, again, for most coaches is going to be the hardest part, especially initially when you're growing your business. And there's a lot of reasons why this is, but I will say this, once you have this part figured out, this is where we can really start to move the needle. This is where growth can happen really fast. And so when I say client acquisition, what I mean is I want you to think about, how are you generating leads in your business? How are you bringing people into your world? For most coaches, typically you're going to start out by posting content. You're going to show up on social media. You're going to post, lots of content, for example, on all of the different social media channels, and you're going to make offers organically. And I will say that I think is a decent starting point. However, there are some real limitations to this strategy. And so if you're listening to this podcast, you are probably in a place where you've experienced that this is a slow growth strategy. And when it comes to lead generation, there's really only 3 main buckets, as I call them. So I want you to think about these as kind of big buckets, and there's a lot of different ways that this can look inside of these buckets, but essentially you have your organic bucket, which includes things like social media. This would include things like word of mouth, referrals. This would include things like going into Facebook groups, right? Promoting your offer, or, adding value in Facebook groups and, leading people to, for example, a consultation. It could be, posting videos on YouTube, or engaging, even DMing people directly on LinkedIn, right? Instagram. So all of the organic channels that you have access to, within those channels, there are different organic strategies that you can use to generate leads, to generate clients. And so I want to be clear that in the beginning, I do not recommend that you are everywhere and that you are on all of the platforms. What I do recommend is that you choose one and that you then focus and you work to master that one that makes the most sense for your business and for your audience. And once you master that one, then you start layering on the others that make sense. But that's typically, at the end of the day, what your options are as a coach to generate leads, to generate clients in an organic way. Then you have what I would call the PR bucket. And this would include, typical PR where you are pitching yourself to various PR opportunities, maybe some publications, organizations. You might even bring in an agency or hire an agency to help you, pitch yourself to various outlets. This could look like podcast guest interviewing. It could look like being a guest writer or a contributor. This could also look like speaking. This could be guest speaking or speaking at, for example, something that's very popular right now, speaking at summits, virtual summits, in-person summits. So again, you can see that this looks a lot of different ways. And again, this isn't an exhaustive list by any means, but I just want to give you a sense here of what these buckets look like. So that's really your PR bucket. The next bucket, the last bucket, is what I call paid. And this includes paid ads on social media. So paid ads on Facebook and Instagram, or meta ads. This could be LinkedIn paid ads. This could be YouTube paid ads. This could be Google ads. Most coaches are typically going to want to start with meta ads, which includes Facebook and Instagram ads. And I will say in some cases, it does make sense to only, for example, be on Facebook, or in some cases only to be on Instagram. But again, this is very nuanced, very specific to the individual business. But I just want to give you a sense here overall that the reality here is that you really have only 3 buckets to generate leads as a coach. You really have these 3 buckets that I laid out, where you have opportunities definitely within all of those buckets. But there comes a point where you do have to choose, and you have to choose whether to really focus and go all in on the organic route, understanding that that is going to require the most time, that it's going to be typically a much longer road and an overall slower build in your business. And so it is my belief that the sooner that you can incorporate paid traffic into your overall strategy, the better. And that, of course, that as you're doing this, you're ensuring that it makes sense for you and your business. And I will say with this, there is a caveat, as we've been talking about, is that you do, in fact, have that irresistible offer, that you do have your messaging, your program, your delivery dialed in, that you do have a real strategy, that you do understand what you're doing, that you have expert support helping you through this, which this is why we do the work that we do. And we start this with our initial onboarding for all of our clients and really looking at their businesses, where we assess right from the get-go, does this client have an irresistible offer? If not, what tweaks need to be made so that it is in fact irresistible? It's always something that we're looking at. It's always something that we're assessing. It's so, so vital. Again, this is very custom to the business, but understanding and knowing what your lead generation, what your customer acquisition strategy is going to be huge. And from there, then what does your sales strategy look like? So, for example, are you going to sell over consultation calls? Are you going to do Zoom consultations with potential clients? Or are you going to incorporate, for example, an application process in your overall strategy? And obviously, this is a little bit more advanced strategy. There would be clear reasons to do that. So this isn't a fit for every program, and it doesn't make sense for every business. So again, these are the nuances that are really, really important to your success. This isn't about just simply copying what somebody else is doing in the market without understanding the full picture and the nuance around it. The other option would be to sell directly into the program. And so if you choose to do that, what does that process look like? You can see, again, there's going to be some big considerations for you, especially as you start to scale. And so this is why having a real strategy, having expert eyes on your business, expert advisory is so, so important. So these are just a few of the bigger pieces of strategy that I want to offer to you all to take a look at for yourself. And I want to give you some questions for you to consider as we are rounding out this year and moving into 2025. I want you to really consider, what is your strategy to end this year, to end 2024 strong? Are you confident in that strategy? If so, why? And if not, why not? Do you have the actual support that can help you implement that strategy successfully? Do you have a real client acquisition strategy in place? And if not, what needs to happen in order to build that? Are you clear on what your marketing, your sales process looks like? And not just for today, but also for where you're going. And finally, do you have the right support to help you implement all of these things in your business? I would encourage you, if you are serious about growing and scaling in this final quarter of 2024 and serious about setting the tone for real growth in 2025, now is the time to dive in. Now is the time, my friends. Your work is so important in this world. Your work is so important to all of the clients who are waiting for you. So let's get to it. Have an amazing week. I'll talk to you all again soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the $1 Million Coach Business Podcast. If you're ready to step into the $1 million version of yourself and scale your business to 6, multi-6, or 7 figures and beyond, go to amandakarlstadcoaching.com.